to the Buzz Pound.
Smith scores, and the Carolina Panthers win in overtime.
A Queen City Sports Podcast covering your Charlotte Hornets and Carolina Panthers.
Halliburton, nowhere to go! LaMelo's done it! LaMelo's done it! Hornets win! Here comes LaMelo.
Here are your hosts, Ian Blair and Cam Gardner.
Buzz Pound, welcome back. It's been a while. Happy New Year. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's having a great start to the new year of 2025. We also hope everybody had a great holiday season, spending time with your loved ones, family, and friends, and all that good stuff. Well, now it's time to get back at it. Today it'll be just me, your co-host Cam Gardner. While Ian is off doing great things on his end, I'll let him be the one to share what all he's got going on when he returns. But let's get this thing going. We're going to get right back into the Panthers. Well, the Panthers season has officially ended. The Panthers ended with a 5-12 record. Not the most ideal record, but we're leaving feeling pretty good about where this team is headed. The Panthers' final game against the Falcons in Atlanta Sunday, January 5th, which was my birthday, they delivered a great win. The final score ended up being 44-33 in an overtime win. And man, oh man, was that a great feeling to end off the season. Like I said, record-wise, it's not what we wanted for the season, but there's a lot to take away from it and a lot to look forward to hopefully come this upcoming season if they can use this off season correctly. Well, while we're on the subject, we're going to go ahead and get into some stats while we're at it. So we're going to start off with Bryce Young. Man, oh man, did he have a game. We're talking 25 completed out of 34 pass attempts, 251 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and 3 rushing touchdowns. Fun fact, with that stat line, Bryce Young became the 4th player in NFL history under age 24 with 3 touchdown passes and 2 rushing touchdowns in a game. And also, he becomes the first quarterback in Panthers history with 3 pass touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns in a single game. Bryce Young made a statement. And to think back where the season started and how he started beginning the season, literally his first play of the season was a pick in the opening game of the season against the Saints. And it went downhill for a few games to come. Then he got benched. And then he comes back a whole new player. But that'll be a topic we get back into a little later. Let's continue with the stats. On the rushing side of things, Miles Sanders, 17 carries, 66 yards, 1 touchdown. Receiving, Jalen Coker, 7 receptions, 62 yards. Miles Sanders again, 3 receptions, 50 yards, 1 touchdown. Adam Thielen, 5 receptions, 44 yards. All of this leading to an overtime win with the final score being 44-38. This was a night and day performance compared to the first 2 games we started before Bryce Young got benched, where Andy Dalton came into play. And must I say, it's leaving Panther fans happy, satisfied, and I'll even say this to all Charlotte fans out there who support both the Panthers and the Hornets. You would not have thought the Panthers would have brought more hype to the city than the Hornets, because it looked like the Hornets were about to have a better season. But that is absolutely not the case, and that is something we'll also get into later. This Panther squad has a lot of promise. We've got our quarterback. My confidence is high there. We saw flashes last year, but there were only 2 games to back that up that we won. Again, we only won 5 games this year. Little improvement, but still a lot of more work to be done. Dave Canales, he inherited a bad team. We'll just put it like that. And there are many people who still have mixed feelings about Dave Canales and still got a lot to prove. But I do want to shout him out. I believe and truly believe Dave Canales is the quarterback whisperer, because look at what he did with Baker Mayfield. Baker bounced around 3 times before landing in Tampa Bay, starting off with Cleveland, making his way to the Panthers, then going to the Rams, then landing in Tampa. He goes to Tampa, where Dave Canales is there, and his game changes so much under Dave Canales. Dave Canales also did the same thing with Geno Smith. Geno Smith, he is the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks, but he's not, at least in my opinion, a star franchise quarterback. He's maintaining up there as of now, but they also still have to build around him and do a lot more. But he's making a name for himself up there, and his game definitely improved under Dave Canales. Dave Canales made the decision to bench Bryce Young. Whatever he whispered to him, whatever he told them during those handful of games that Bryce Young was benched before Andy Dalton was in the car accident where he injured his hand. And Bryce Young comes back and finishes the season. These are two different players. Bryce Young's confidence was there completely. Whatever Dave Canales said to him, I commend you. I appreciate you. Panther Nation appreciates you. And we cannot see what you do moving forward with this team, because there's a lot of promise, especially from the way we ended. Now, I got two other people I would like to shout out. First, I want to shout out Rod Wave. Whatever Rod Wave said to Bryce Young when he made it public on his, I think it was his Instagram story or Twitter, where he asked for Bryce Young to call him. And Bryce Young did admit they did talk. Whatever he told him, he gave him some powerful words, because between then and Bryce Young getting benched, he came out as a whole entire different player finishing the season. I mean, you got Bryce Young out here now throwing touchdowns and turning around and celebrating before seeing the receiver even catch it in the end zone. That's like a Steph Curry type of move right there. And even Steph Curry shouted it out himself, who's also a fellow Panther fan, along with the rest of us. And last but not least, I want to shout out Ace Boogie himself, Cam Newton. Cam Newton, let it be known, Bryce Young is Boogie approved. And we all know what Cam Newton meant to Carolina. And for him to give Bryce Young the stamp of approval, that says a lot, and it means a lot. So Panther Nation, I think we got a lot to be thankful for and a lot to be happy about. Now, on to these Hornets. 8-27. I'm going to repeat that again. 8-27. That's our current record. Since we last made an episode, the Hornets experienced 10 losses in a row until beating the Suns 115-104 on Tuesday, January 7th. Now, there is a lot that comes with that. Injuries, and certain players not playing, and certain players not playing together, and certain players not stepping up, obviously. The game against the Suns, Tuesday, January 7th, was the first time in a long time that LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller played together in a while. And that game was exciting. We needed that win. And even Miles Bridges played well as well. But this squad is too talented to be sitting at 8-27. There's no reason. And yet to mention we're still missing our favorite six-man, Trey Mann himself. There's a lot to question there. It makes you start to wonder about Charles Lee. It makes you wonder about the mindset of the players. You question any and everything. There's a lot of work to be done there. But once Ian returns, we'll go into a little more discussion of that. So the Hornets are scheduled to play the Lakers. However, that game has been postponed due to the wildfires in the state of California. And I want to give prayers for those affected in the state of California. It's heartbreaking to see what's going on out there. So the Hornets have some stuff they got to figure out, obviously, on their end. LaMelo Ball, he does LaMelo Ball things, but it's the rest of the team. You know, Brandon Miller, he'll go a few games kind of cold, then he'll, pop off the next few. But again, it's also injuries. So it makes you question the training staff as well. And we're already at the midseason point. So there's really no reason at this point to even consider the thought of playoffs anymore. I think that ship has sailed, at least for this season. There's still a lot to figure out. We got a new coaching staff. It's a lot of new staff in general. I mean, you got a new GM as well. So everything is just it's growing pains. You got to learn and grow together and figure out the best way to mesh everything together, because it all starts at the top. But they made the right moves last offseason and last trade deadline. The trade deadline is coming up in early February. We'll just have to see what occurs there, if they try to do anything to help improve what we currently have. But this team still has work to do, obviously. And like I mentioned earlier, if you would have told me at the start of the Hornets season that the Panthers, at the end of their season, would have brought more hype to the city of Charlotte, I wouldn't have even believed it in that moment, especially with the way they started off. But as we move forward, we'll continue to, keep up with the Buzz Boys and their status of how they're doing. And let's hope Trey Mann eventually comes back soon so we can get our true six-man back to be able to provide points off the bench. Right now, a lot of our guys on the bench aren't really stepping up the way they should, the way that he can, at least. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and go into some Carolina college hoops. So because we've missed a good handful of games since we last did an episode. So I'm just going to go ahead and discuss where each team is sitting at and the next team they're going to go up against. So we're going to start with my Tar Heels, UNC. They're currently sitting at 10-6. I'm hoping that they can figure it out and start winning some more games. I would like to get them back in the ranked teams and, so they can secure a spot in the tournament once March comes around, and we'll see what we can do there. We lost a lot of depth, but hopefully they can rebuild after this season, because this current team, I can tell you now, they're not going to win anything this year, but it would be nice to at least see them in the mix of the tournament. And They actually play state rival NC State Saturday, January 11th at 3 p.m. So now on to the Blue Devils. Duke currently sitting at number 4, sitting at a standing of 13-2, which is pretty good. Those guys are balling over there. Up next, they play Notre Dame Saturday, January 11th at 11 a.m. And on to the Wolfpack. NC State sitting currently at 9-6. Like stated earlier, they play UNC Saturday, January 11th at 3 p.m. So hopefully that'll be a fun game to watch. It's always nice to see the state teams go against each other, especially the big name ones, and hopefully it'll be a competitive, fun one. And for me, I'm a Tar Heel guy. Hopefully UNC can pull that one off and continue to stack some more wins to hopefully secure them a spot in the tournament once we get to March. So Buzzpound, I know it was a shorter episode today. Like I mentioned, it was just me going solo dolo today. Ian should be back next week. And we will also be discussing some things we'll be doing differently, some things we want to bring to the pod this upcoming year. And as time goes on, we will start sharing those. We still got to have a few more conversations on our end. We hope to eventually get visuals going where we can be seen doing these podcast episodes on YouTube and all that good stuff. So, continue to support us. We appreciate all of you. For those who are fans or not fans of either team, it just means the world to us that you are, listening to us weekly. As always, you can find us on X and Instagram at BuzzpoundPod, and you can listen to us on Spotify and YouTube. Episodes are posted every Saturday at 7:30, 6:30 Central. And as always, keep pounding and keep the Hive mentality.
Ready? Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Buzz Pound. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and let us know what you thought of this episode. Until next time, this is the Buzz Pound.
Touchdown!